up, guys, and welcome back to Skins in the Game. We do not have J-Dubs with us this week. J-Dubs has family over visiting from Florida, so he is unavailable for us tonight. But we do have me. I'm here, and we got some stuff to talk about. We got a little over a week now of training camp that we could go through. I have some notes down. We'll talk about them. But first, we will talk about the 2 retirements that Washington has had recently. And maybe, can we still sign Deron Payne? We'll talk about that a little bit as well. But first off, we got the dad joke of the week. And I call up my dad, just tell him to give me a dad joke. And his dad joke of the week this week was, what do you call when the queen farts? What do you call it when the queen farts? You call it a noble gas. That was the dad joke of the week sent to me by J-Dubs. But what do I got? Well, what do I got this week? Well, there's a couple of things that we could go over. First off, I will be at practice the Saturday at FedEx Field. They'll practice at FedEx Field. I will be there. 6:45 is when it starts. I don't know when I'll get there, but me and my wife are going and a couple of other people, so we should have some fun there. If you see us, say hi. That'll be cool. But I will be there, and also I'll have things to report that I actually see with my own eyes, right? Because right now, you have some clips of some random things, and it's cool, but you don't really get the full picture. You don't really see everything, and that's when I'll actually be able to, talk about what I'm actually seeing and not talk about what other people are saying. But that's what we got here, so we should have some fun. But what's up, everybody? Rip Nationals. Oh, yeah, the Nationals lost Juan Soto. That was rough. And they lost Josh Bell. So they are completely in the tank. And that started, that started a couple of years ago. After they traded Trey Turner, I was really upset. I wasn't necessarily upset that we sold that year because we weren't having a great season, but I wanted to keep Trey and I wanted to keep Juan Soto. If we could have kept those 2 guys, that would have been big. I also would have loved to somehow keep Max Scherzer, but I understand he's getting old. I just wish we never paid Steven Strasburg, because Steven Strasburg has been an absolute disaster. I think he's played like 8 games in 3 seasons since winning the World Series. It's been awful, and we paid him a ton of money. Ugh. And he's not a spring chicken either. He's like 33. Scherzer's 37 right now. So it's not a huge difference when it comes to MLB pitching. But anyway, that's something else. But yeah, it was a good week. Anyway, what's up? Patrick West, spoiled in the house. What up, bro? Fight for old DC. Bottas Fatfa's here. How is it going, everybody in the chat? All right. How am I? Not too bad. How are you doing today, Kevin Davis? Kevin, actually, you're saying multiple things now. Didn't you just used to say bye? You just came in, said bye, and then, went back into the ether wherever you went. But now you're saying, how are you? But how's it going, Kevin? It's opening up. What's up, Rashid? Commander Chaplain Rev Rashid in here today. What's up, bro? How you doing? All right. We're going to start with the first of 2 retirements, the one that actually truly matters. And it's Ryan Kerrigan, of course. Number 91, the showstopper, retires from the NFL. And when asked when did he make his decision, he actually started talking about 2021, where he got bad news from his knee, but yet he still wasn't mentally ready to retire, and he ended up going to Philadelphia for 1 more season. I was sad about it. I wanted to keep him. I'm thinking, why not keep him? Leadership in the locker room. Also, I thought he still had stuff to give. Clearly, I was wrong because I didn't know about the injury portion, so I understand the team's mindset more with not keeping a guy like Ryan Kerrigan, especially when you have Montez Sweat, Chase Young, James Smith-Williams, Casey Tuhill. You have some solid players there at the defensive end position. Why force it to keep Ryan Kerrigan, right? But he talked about how he wasn't ready, so he tried 1 more year, and he actually said why he chose Philadelphia Eagles, or one of the silver linings, was that he could play in Washington 1 more time in front of the home fans, because his last game was the playoff game against Tampa Bay, where there was no fans in the stadium because that was the COVID year. So he playing last year in Philly gave him one opportunity to play here because he really loved it here. He talked about that a lot. I mean, he even said that he had engagement photos with his now wife, but and fiance at the time, here at FedEx Field. So he really loves it here in Washington. So he was super happy to sign a 1-day contract in DC where he can retire a commander, a football team member, and Redskins. He's one of the players that he could say that he signed for all three teams. Obviously, we've had a couple of guys like that, so I'm not saying he's the only one by any means, but he can be now one of those. He played for 3 different teams, but all in the same city, right? Which is kind of cool, even though they're all technically one team. I'm actually really glad to hear Washington made it a big to do to bring in Ryan Kerrigan for his retirement. Yeah, like he said that they went above and beyond to make it a special day for him, especially since Ron Rivera and him only had 1 season together. Chase Young and him only had 1 season together, and Chase Young was apparently one of the first guys to come up and say hi to him and give him a hug. So, and apparently he had all the defensive line group, there as he walked in the door to cheer for him as he came in. So I thought that was really cool. And it just goes to show another aspect of the culture change, right? Now, Ron Rivera has been a part of some horribleness, but that is also, I'm sure, it has something to do with the front office and Dan Snyder and the garbage, like the Sean Taylor debacle and other things. But I'm glad to see that Ryan Kerrigan was very pleased with how it was done. And then on top of that, not only did we make it a big to-do on that day that he signed the 1-day contract, but now Ryan Kerrigan talks about how he wants to be a coach, preferably in the NFL. He said that college could be a lot of fun, especially with that age, since there's so much talent wrapped up in a very inexperienced body. But he said he would prefer to be a coach in the NFL. And Ron Rivera is nice enough to be able, like, he's basically showing him the ropes as a coach. All right, you want to be a coach in this league, whether it be a head coach, defensive coach, or linebackers coach, or something, defensive line coach, something like that. This is what it's going to be like, right? And in his speech, he did talk about how he lived football for the last so many years of his life, 20 years, but especially as a professional in the last 12 seasons. He lived football, breathed it. He even talked about how at like late February, he's making sure he's eating the right things on a Friday night. And his wife's like, why can't we just go out for dinner one night and just have whatever we want? No, he lived and just breathed football, which is awesome. But now you have 3 girls under 3 years old. You have a wife. Do you really now want to immediately hop in to the coaching sphere where it's again, now you're living football again, but this time it's now as a coach where you have to watch a ton of film. You're at the facility all the time. You're coming up with different game plans. You're coming up with different practice ideas or this, that, whatever. Again, you're hopping right into it. And maybe his family would be cool, but maybe you want to take some time off, especially with your girls so young, to let's watch them grow a little bit. Enjoy. You made plenty of money. You don't have to work anymore. Nobody wants to not work in a sense because you always want something to do. I'm sure you could find something to do, but it doesn't necessarily need to be something so demanding as a coaching job. But should we hire Ryan Kerrigan if he does this testing with Ron Rivera and he decides, you know what? Actually, I do want to be a football coach in this league. Immediately sign this guy. Leadership, high character. Everybody loves him. Extremely smart football player. He showed great work ethic. He knows how to be a great professional. Now, he never won a playoff game, so he didn't have necessarily great success, but that's also the team around him, right? But he had success in his own right. 95.5 sacks, team leader in history. But I would love this dude, especially because Sam Mills has shown that he is absolutely garbage. Why he's still a defensive line coach, I have no idea. Bring him in to be a defensive line coach. Granted, I know Louis T and I agreed, but Louis T made fun of Sam Mills when he said that he was when he started showing the players Ryan Kerrigan film. That's not necessarily who you want to copy after. While Ryan Kerrigan was a really good player, a lot of those sacks were very much high hustle plays. And all respect to it, I'm not trying to down, except for the fact that he's not a guy that you really should idolize as far as a talent on the field and watching what he did as far as technique and everything like that. You want to watch much more of I would love for Chase Young to watch Dwight Freeney over and over and over again. If there was one player that he could watch forever, to me it would be Dwight Freeney, because if he can learn that spin move, Chase Young would become nasty at that point. But I would love to hire him. I think we can only go up from right now what we have in Sam Mills. He's not getting nearly enough out of this defensive line. I would love him. But let's see what you guys are thinking. Hit the likes early, family. Thanks, man. I do have to go, heading home. My Redskins, no worries, man. Have a good one, dude. Make RK D-line coach. I would love that, AJ. Love it. Retire number 91. That's interesting. I would not. I would not retire number 91. I wouldn't. I like Ryan Kerrigan a lot. I loved him. Like, he was a great face of the franchise for the time he was here. I mean, he's my wife's favorite player. I know tons of people that either named pets or children after him, like a daughter named Kerrigan, or a pet named Kerrigan. I'm sure there's plenty of Ryans in the DMV area. I'm sure that we're tied to Ryan Kerrigan in this area. So he obviously made a big impact here, but to retire that number, I think, is a little bit too much, right? Because I loved Cooley as well. Do I want to retire number 47? No. I love Santana Moss. Do I want to retire 89? No. I want to retire. I'm glad we retired 21. I would love to retire 28, 44. I'm sure there's plenty of others, but you get the idea. There's other guys that I would love to retire their numbers. 91, I don't think so. Well, our linebacker and D-line coach are both hot garbage, so I would hire him a ham sandwich over what we have. True. Linebacker coach is kind of hard to judge because he doesn't have the talent that the defensive line coach had. Imagine you're a position coach and you at one point had 5 first-round picks on your side of the football or in your position group, and yet you are struggling to get production out of them. What? Like, come on, bro. You have so much talent. 5 first. Ryan Kerrigan, Jonathan Allen, Jerron Payne, Montez Sweat, Chase Young. 5 first-round picks in 2020. Of course, he only had 4 first-round picks in 2021. But still, 4 first-round picks. Position coaches would love to just have one. Like our wide receiver coach last year, it's like, all right, thank you for Terry. I love Terry, but can I get 1 first-round pick? And we gave it to him. We'll see what they could do with Jahan Dotson, right? Most position coaches would love to just have 1. If they get 2, they're through the roof. This guy didn't even have 3. He had 4. And we're talking about how he's struggling. It's just so frustrating. Did you check Twitter posts? I did not check Twitter posts today. I'm not sure. What up, Ernie? How you doing? Do you think Dotson is overhyped? We'll get into that a little bit later, but when I start talking about the notes, we'll definitely get into that. All right. The other retirement from football was Antonio Gandy Golden, wide receivers moving to tight end after 2 days of training camp. Of course, the memes were saying, oh, after 2 days with Carson Wentz, he said, screw this, I'm retiring, right? No, he's retiring because he didn't have much of a chance to make the football team. And why not get yourself signed up back at Liberty University, go get your degree, and go ahead and move on. I'm sad about this because I liked the pick at the time. It was right after Michael Thomas led the league in catches and yards. And I thought that this guy had a potential to be kind of like a budget Michael Thomas, right? Not the fastest guy in the world, a big body of like 6'3", 6'4", great hands at Liberty. I thought that there was some possibility of grooming this guy into a discount 4th round Michael Thomas. Clearly that did not work out. Injuries derailed it, but even when he got in, he didn't even play well. I'm pretty sure he had a few drops when he got into the game. So it sucks, right? It sucks that he just never really worked out. But he's an extremely smart kid. Of course, the Rubik's Cube, as Ed Alver liked to joke about, but I know how to do the Rubik's Cube, so I thought that was pretty cool when I found out he could do that. But he also, there was other reasons to know that this guy actually had a great head on his shoulders. Unfortunately, it just did not work out in the NFL. And then Terry booming, we just paid him. Jahan Dotson got drafted. De'Ami Brown got drafted. Uh, Kelvin Harmon's back. I like him, but we brought in, or Cam Sims has been working out really well in certain scenarios. I mean, that great catch over Trayvon Diggs, a couple big games like the Steelers one-handed catch or the playoff game he played well in. So there's just so much competition there. Then he moved to the tight end spot, and we'll get into that a little bit later as well, that the tight end spot has a lot of competition throughout all of a sudden, right? A couple of one rookie, and then the one we drafted last year. Logan Thomas, of course, is still not back yet, but we'll get into more of how I feel about those guys. But with all the competition at the two positions that he was trying to gun for, I'm sure after 2 days, probably after one day, but after 2 days of practice, he's seeing, I've never blocked before like that. I wasn't even a great blocker as a receiver. Why am I going to get in here and try to block defensive ends? Then I'm going to have to eat a whole ton, just like Ryan Kerrigan talked about. He's like, to be on the line of scrimmage, you got to eat a lot. You got to force yourself to eat, uncomfortably eat too much to make sure you keep size. So now I'm gaining weight, trying to force feed myself, harm my body potentially in the future. That sucks, right? That sucks. And he decided, you know what? It's not for me. I gave it a try. I'm glad I tried, right? Because if you don't try, you never know. You tried, can't do it. Let's go back to school. We'll move on to something else because he can do a lot of different things. So that's good. What up, bro? How you doing? I blame the coaching staff and QBs for AGG. His size alone, they could have made better use of his talents. Well, they kind of did that with Cam Sims instead of AGG. But, I mean, they even tried to give it to him on the end rounds. They threw it up to him. It just didn't work out. And then he got hurt soon after that. So if you're not available, it's hard to really judge what you can do. And it's not to say that he couldn't make the team. Ron Rivera said he was surprised that AGG was off the team, right? Or retiring. Like, he thought that he was making some great strides. It's not like in Ron Rivera's mind and the coaching staff's mind, I don't think they necessarily said, write AGG off. He's done. I think it's more AGG, or I know what's obviously it's more that AGG decided that he didn't think he had a great chance of making the team. And even if he did, he probably was going to be the 6th or 7th wide receiver. How much playing time? Now I'm putting all this effort in for what? Let's go back to school. Let's move forward when we can do. What are your thoughts on Kerrigan coaching? I think it would be awesome. Leadership is high level there. I talked about it a little bit earlier in the show, but leadership is high level. He's obviously been in the game 12 years, so tons of experience. It seemed like Chase Young and Montez Sweat and Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, these guys loved his experience while he was in our building to learn from and have the ability to basically coach, like be a player's coach. It seems like they really loved him. So if we could bring him in as a defensive line coach, considering Sam Mills is so bad, I love it. But what's up, Robert? How you doing? What up, Hassan? Basically, don't switch positions unless you're mentally prepared for it. Well, that's a good point too, because you have a lot to work to do to switch positions, a lot to work to do, especially switching to tight end. Because tight end is, I played tight end. Tight end is a very special position, right? Obviously, quarterback's the hardest position, but then it arguably becomes tight end as far as the offensive side of the ball. You have to understand all the route patterns and understand all the blocking schemes, right? Because you're in line blocking a whole ton. And then on top of that, you have to be able to get out there and run a route, understand what you're trying to do to the safeties and the linebackers to get them off the receivers and a ton of option routes. It's arguable it goes quarterback, then tight end as far as needing high IQ. And obviously, Antonio Goldie has that, but also just a lot to learn. And it's not an easy position to get. It's tough. It's super tough. Will you be watching the game tomorrow? Yes, we will be live on the channel here tomorrow with me and Jarris. We're also starting a new show, me, Jarris, and ProTech, called The Uncut. You can get that here or on ProTech's channel. I'm not sure if we're going to stream it to Jarris's channel as well. I know he doesn't really do the collab things on his channel. I think he would be welcome to, but you're definitely going to be able to get it on ProTech or my channel called The Uncut. Basically, it's going to be trying to be like our version of ESPN First Take or The Undisputed. is going to be our version of that. So we're going to be doing that every Monday night and Wednesday night, but we will start that tomorrow at 7, and then we will switch it up and go into the game for my usual play-by-play. I'll be doing the Hall of Fame game, and we should have some fun there. So yes, we will be watching the game live on this channel. Good, bro. How are you, man? Haven't been checking in like I usually this season, but hey, that's same here. Like my content has obviously, the amount of content has gone down a whole heck of a lot through the off season, but we're going to be picking it up for sure. What up, X-Man? How you doing? I'll watch that show. Thanks, Yuki. Appreciate it. There was a Samuel sighting in pads. Yes, we will talk about that when we get to the training camp section, which was what will end the show basically. But before we get into training camp, I kind of wanted to pose this question, right? Most of the fan base, and I'm not necessarily saying you're wrong or silly for thinking this, but most of the fan base has written off Daron Payne having any chance of continuing to be on this team after this season, right? And now I'm hearing, and obviously the Jack Del Rio tweet of, hey, if you think that we don't love Daron and he ain't in here working and you think he walked off the practice field for no stupid reason, you have lost your mind. We love Daron. He knows how to put in the work. He's one of the hardest workers in this building. We love him. And I'm sure Ron feels, if not the exact same, very similar. And Daron, he is a hard worker. He's a great player. I love Daron. But right now, people think he is the odd one out. When you look at Chase Young, when you look at Montez Sweat, when you look at, we just paid Jonathan Allen last year, he's the odd one out, right? Well, that being said, next year, Montez Sweat is under contract. So this year and next year, Montez Sweat is already under his rookie deal. And then I believe, or did we pick up his 5th-year option this year? Let me double check. So Montez Sweat may need to be paid next season. No, it has to be the season after that because Daron Payne was before him. Yeah, because it's Daron Payne and then it went Dwayne Haskins and Montez Sweat. So we still have 2 seasons until we have to pay Montez Sweat. We obviously have another season after that until we have to pay Chase Young. Now, let's look at this. Share my screen real quick. All right. So, zooming in so you can see it a little bit better. All right. Right now, according to the cap space, we have less than $2 million in cap space, right? And this is an estimated. We really don't know what the total cap is going to be. But as far as the top 51, we're $218 million in total cap space to use, but $1.8 million in cap space available. But the cap space rolls over from year to year. And right now we have $13.3 million in cap space this season. And we're really not looking to sign that many players at this moment, right? Like most of the players, we're already pretty much set. We don't even have that much competition as far as who really is the starters. For the most part, we know the starters through and through. Maybe we'll sign like a 3rd stringer or a 4th stringer here or there. But for the most part, our roster is set. So if that $13.3 million rolls over to next season, add the $2 million, we're at $15 million in cap space. Now you might be saying, hey, Tim, well, he's going to cost 17, 18, 19, 20 million a year. We can't afford to pay him. But, well, yes, he should get around that money, a similar payday to Jonathan Allen. That being said, Jonathan Allen just got paid last year, right? This is the first year of his new contract. Jonathan Allen is only a $9.5 million cap hit. So out of the $15 million, his first year can only has to be around $10 million, right? Same thing with like Curtis Samuel last year. It was only like a $6 million cap hit. Even though he was making 11, it was only like a $6 million cap hit. Even though Will Jack is making what, like 12, 13 million a year, whatever it was. He only got like 8 million his first year. So the first year, it's not going to be the full amount. So if we're at $15 million next season after the rollover, roughly, that's enough to pay Daron Payne. And then after that, we're at $86.5 million. And that's including paying Carson Wentz. That's including William Jackson, Curtis Samuel. That's including Terry McLaurin. So Jonathan Allen as well. That's already including a lot of big paydays. So you could definitely fit a Daron Payne contract within this number in 2024. So why is it that Daron Payne is a 100% gone? Now, I'm not saying that he's definitely going to be here, but if he balls out, continues to put in the work, and he decides that he does want to be here, we may franchise tag him and then try to work something out. And also, this is all considering that if Carson Wentz fails this year, we can cut him for all of the money back. So we go from about $15 million to about $41 million in cap space. And now that's plenty to pay him, right? And then we have Sam Howell right now on the back burner who's looking decent right now. Or we may, if we suck it up this year, we may go and try to go all in for a quarterback in the draft, maybe, which is obviously going to be a lot lower of a payday than paying somebody out on the street. So Daron Payne is not a 100% for sure gone. The coaching staff loves him. I think he's actually a really good player. I mean, I think he's a great player, not an all-star level player, but I think he's a great. I love him. So I don't hate the idea of paying him. I think we could potentially pay him, and just don't write it off yet, is all I'm saying. Don't write it off. It's the NFL can pay Payne, going to be hurting people this year. Watch my word, he's putting in work. Yeah, maybe. Well, whoever the odd man / min out is, I would love for the team to trade players and picks to try to make a play for Will Anderson next year. I just can't see us taking another outside linebacker defensive end. I just can't do it. I don't believe that's the path we're on. I think we're either taking a quarterback next year, and then after that, it could be anybody. It could be a safety, probably best player or linebacker. I know, was it Sewell from Oregon? I know Jarris loves him. Maybe we can go after a guy like that, but I just don't see us taking another defensive lineman, especially if we re-sign Daron Payne. We're not going to be a top 5 pick. I agree. I'm not predicting a bad season, so that's for sure. Yeah, 3-year deal, like 12 something a year, I think, Yuki. That's what. Yeah, we paid Will Jack quite a bit of money. Yes, we did. Yeah, 3-year deal, something like that. Yeah, Payne is definitely going to work in McDonald's. Yuki's such a hater. That's funny. That is funny. Last year, Will broke the tackle for loss record and got 17.5 sacks. That's a man's a monster. Yeah, but if we end up with such a high pick, kind of like what Jarris is saying, because Will Anderson is going in the top 5, almost certainly, if not number 1 overall. If we have that high of a pick, we're going quarterback. Point blank, period. Unless somehow Sam Howell is just knocking the lights out of the place where it's like, hey, you got to play me. We're going quarterback if we end up with a top 5 pick. Payne is solid and all, but I don't think he'll stay in Washington, probably to the Jets. Maybe. Yeah, he'll be a top 3 pick. Exactly. So he's going to be a top-notch pick. But anyway, I just thought about that because I think it was John Keim and Bram Weinstein having a conversation with each other, and they were talking about how Daron Payne is not necessarily off the table as far as a guy that we could potentially re-sign. So look out for that. We may be franchise tagging, because who else are we going to franchise next year? Right? We got to think about it like that too. We have a franchise tag. Granted, we didn't use one this year. We don't have to use it. But if there is a guy that you are going to franchise, it would be Daron Payne. And if he comes off a 12-sack season or 11-sack season in the interior, which is pretty darn good, and then also has tackles for loss and just been a absolute wrecker of the middle, hey, don't be surprised if and there is a path. That was my main thing that I wanted to talk to people about, because I think a lot of people think there is zero, even a path, like a possibility, like there's just not enough money. There is money on the table if you wanted to sign him, is basically my main takeaway that I wanted to have with this segment. All right, well, let's hop into some training camp notes, shall we? hopping into the training camp. And before I do that, let me get some water. All right. Training camp notes. First and foremost, me and Jairus are on the same page about this. I don't care about camp. Okay. I really don't follow the highs, or you can follow it, but don't fall for the highs and lows of training camp. Okay. Oh my God. Carson Wentz threw 3 interceptions or 4 interceptions in a practice. The world is over. Tom Brady has had those moments. Peyton Manning's had those. All the top quarterbacks have had practices. You're up and down. You're trying different things. You're giving guys chances. You're doing as much. You're not game planning. You don't know exactly what the defense is trying to run. There's so much to it that just don't fall for the highs and lows. Like every time you hear Carson Wentz is, oh, he threw 5 touchdowns today, 2 to Jahan, 2 to Terry, and 1 to Cole Turner. And, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. And then the next day, the defense absolutely crushes them. And you're like, oh no, is Carson Wentz not really good? Did we make a mistake? Oh my gosh, is it terrible? Don't fall for the highs and lows of training camp. If anything, it's good to see highs and lows in training camp because both sides are getting paid. You don't want Carson Wentz just slicing our defense up the entire time because that means what is our defense doing, right? Like our defense is sucking it up, even though we have a ton of money in that defense, a ton of high draft capital. That defense should be pretty darn good. Just don't fall the highs and lows. It's okay. Relax. But that being said, Carson Wentz has been up and down. And big shout out to Street Scores. I'm sure all of you know Street Scores. I've been following his daily recaps. So a lot of the information I get is from him. Not that obviously I'm going to just relay the same information, but I'm giving my thoughts on it as well. But big shout out to Street Scores. Love that dude. Does a great job. If you haven't subscribed over there and you want to hear Washington content, go over there. He's doing a great job giving you daily updates and some highlights videos of practice. So that's pretty cool. But Carson Wentz up and down, but he's clearly has the arm. And that's what everybody's been saying in practice. It's something that we've barely had for so long. Like Kirk Cousins had a solid arm, but none of the guys we've had in the last 20 plus years probably have had the kind of arm that Carson Wentz has. He's making all the throws. He's hitting guys in stride. Now, he does have days where it seems like, oh, he's struggling, blah, blah, blah. Now, Carson Wentz did say that in OTAs and stuff, he's willing to try some new things. And then once he gets to training camp, it's supposed to be basically trying to be as polished as possible. So that sucks to hear. You would like to hear maybe, hey, we're trying new things, but maybe he's not trying to give away the defense. I don't know if I'm being too much of a bandwagon right now for Carson Wentz. I do like Carson Wentz. I think he's going to be good for us. But there's ups and downs. And would you love him to slice him up? Sure, but it's okay. The other side gets paid as well. Sam Howell, though, I've heard good things that Sam Howell has been looking pretty good. Now, he is going against third stringers, but I wasn't a huge fan of Sam Howell coming out. I thought he was okay. I thought he was fine, but it's not like I wanted him in the first or second round. When we were talking about that, I thought that was way too high. Sam Howell in the 5th round is one of the biggest steals that I can imagine out of this draft. I mean, this guy does have the capabilities. I love to compare him to like a Steve Young, strong arm, ability to run. I think I like that comparison, like a right-handed Steve Young, but I'm a fan of Sam Howell, and I'm happy to hear he's been looking solid. Obviously, making some rookie mistakes. He's got a lot to learn. He's not coming in this year. He has no chance to start, and he pretty much has no chance of taking the second string spot because Taylor Heinicke has looked solid. Of course, he does not have the arm, but Taylor Heinicke knows the offense extremely well. He's a high IQ quarterback. He's a great backup to Carson Wentz. And in a pinch, if you need him to start a couple of games, he showed last year he won 7 games on a tough schedule. He obviously went toe-to-toe with Tom Brady for a while, only lost by 1 touchdown in a playoff game. So Taylor Heinicke is going to get the second string spot. Sam Howell will be third. On to the receiving group. Terry McLaurin is becoming a vocal leader on this team. He just got his big payday a month ago that everybody remembers, but he, according to most places, and of course Street Scores, There's been a lot of talk. Like Jamin Davis was on him one time, and Carson Wentz didn't throw his way. And he goes, "Yo, there's a linebacker on me. Throw it to me. What are you doing?" Or if the offense has a great day, he's the one out there talking. Hey, we all eating today. Oh, great play, great dude. Blah blah blah. I like it because Terry McLaurin has always been known as more of the quieter dude, not hearing a whole bunch from him, but he is embracing, hey, I am a leader now. I am a veteran in the wide receiver of our wide receiver group. I am now paid like a veteran. I am now paid like a leader. I'm going to now, I own this position because the team gave it to me. I've earned it with my play. The players below me respect me. I'm going to take this full on. And I love to hear that. That's awesome that Terry's becoming a vocal leader. Something else I'm hearing about Terry is one of the critiques that I had at Scott Turner last season. We basically exclusively used Terry McLaurin as a X receiver. We never saw him on a reverse because X usually is on the line of scrimmage, or pretty much always on the line of scrimmage. And that, if you're on the line of scrimmage, you're not really going in motion a whole bunch. The guy's off the ball. The Z receiver is the one going in on the reverses and the jet sweeps and all that kind of stuff. I'm loving that we are trying to find, at least in camp right now, ways to get Terry McLaurin the football. You pay him all that money, get the football in his hands any way possible. And I've also heard he's playing some slot. He didn't play a whole lot of slot last year. He was pretty much exclusively outside. Use him as many different ways as possible. And they're doing that the same thing with all the receivers, with Jahan, with Curtis. These two guys are also, obviously, those are the big three. They're going to be able to be used in all sorts of different formations, different ways, different spots. Love to hear that. And Terry did have a couple of drops, but I don't care. Terry's shown that he is a top-notch receiver. There's a reason he's the 7th highest rated receiver according to Madden. Love the dude. He's an absolute stud. Stud. Jahan Dotson is getting extreme amount of hype in this camp. An extreme amount of hype. Jarris made a video on it saying that he is one of the most hype players of all time. I don't follow training camps of other teams enough to know that, but all I can say is this first round pick is getting a ton of hype. Some people, including apparently other players, believe that he is the best wide receiver on the team after you just paid $23 million a year to Terry McLaurin. I don't think so. Okay. Granted, I'm not there at practice. I'm not judging it. I don't think so. But I hope so. He's on our team now. I know I didn't like the pick. I'm not hiding from I liked the pick. You will always know that I did not like the pick. But as I usually say when I pick against Washington on a week-to-week basis, I would love to be wrong. Please, for me to be wrong would be tremendous right now. Okay. But he is getting extremely hyped. Everything he does is all plastered over. You're not hearing anybody's name more than Jahan Dotson, other than maybe one other player that we'll talk about in a minute. But Jahan is getting a lot of love. He had a beautiful catch over Benjamin St. Juice that was highlighted in a highlight reel on Twitter. And everybody's talking about how fluid he is in his routes, tremendous hands. Everybody's saying he has the best hands on the team. A lot of people thought he had the best hands coming out of the draft. I think he was the second best hands because I was a George Pickens fan, but that's neither here nor there. Good. I'm glad. But again, I'm not falling for these highs and lows of training camp, okay? We'll see what happens when I go and watch it on Saturday. But I'm happy to hear because it's better than the other way around. Right? Like you don't want to hear, oh, Jahan struggled today. Jahan dropped a couple of passes today. You don't want to hear it the other way around. But even if you did hear that, think about Jamar Chase last year in preseason, had all the drops, right? And then he came back and had one of the best rookie seasons of all time. You hear of guys killing it. De'Ami Brown was killing it the year before, right? AGG, I think, was killing it the year he was a rookie. Or like you hear the hypes of everybody. Don't fall for anything yet. We'll see what we actually see on the field. I want to see some good things in preseason. That'll be helpful to see. I'll see stuff on Saturday. But I'm happy to hear that Jahan Dotson is playing well. That's great news. Another receiver. Right now, this is my feeling on Curtis Samuel. Obviously, subject to change. I am leaning towards right now that the team is being overly cautious with this dude. I don't actually think he's that hurt. I think he's just being overly cautious because you see these highlights and you hear all of these things of like, this guy's looking tremendous, but then he misses a day or two of practice, right? And Ron Rivera talked about in his press conference that, hey, this is all a part of the plan. We're all in for week one. We don't care about anything in training camp as far as we know this guy can play. We don't need to see this guy perform in training camp for us to know he's going to make this team. We know he's going to make the team. So, yes, we want him to get out there and get some reps, get some practice, make sure he stays in game shape, but we're not going to push this guy to the extreme degree. We want him ready for week one. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm not worried about Curtis Samuel. I think he will start week one. I don't think that these missing practices or anything are a big deal at all. I think he is fine. They're just being overly cautious. That's my opinion. That's where I'm sitting. And that's where I'm sticking with until something changes, which it could change tomorrow. But today, that's where I'm at. And Curtis Samuel, I think he'll be fine. He had that great play. I believe it was against, was it Benjamin St. Juice as well that he made look absolutely silly? Good for Curtis. Good for Curtis. All right, before we move on, what are you guys saying over here? As the best player on the team, Terry can say whatever the F he wants. That's right. Being number 3 on the depth chart, there isn't much pressure. He can sit back and learn and improve. Talking about Sam Howell, yes, agreed. I mean, move him around just to make the D think. Exactly. That's what's so great about our receivers. And I'll give Jahan props on this. We could use all 3 of these guys in pretty much all 3 positions, which is got to be absolutely terrifying for a defensive coordinator, especially considering we are literally, I believe, the fastest wide receiver trio in the league. I was seeing a picture of it, and I'm pretty sure we are number 1 in speed. Mclaurin runs a 4.35, Curtis Samuel runs a 4.31, and Jahan Dotson, I believe, ran a 4.42, I believe, like a low 4.4, if I remember, somewhere in there. And some people think he's even faster than that. He apparently just didn't have the best 40 in the world. So we have the fastest 3 receivers, and they can play all 3 positions, and they all can run routes, and they all can catch, and they all can make people miss. We have a great trio of wide receivers. Even though I didn't like where he was picked, I like who he is, and I like the pick or I like the player, I should say, not necessarily where he was picked, right? Kind of similar, like if Sam Howell was picked in the first round, I wouldn't like that. As a 5th rounder, I love it, but I would hate that as a 1st rounder. I thought that was just way too high. It is what it is. What do you guys say? Those players need to be fine. Yeah. I like J-Dot, but I also hated the pick, but I do like what I've seen of the man. I want him to prove me wrong so bad. I'm with you, bud. I'm with you. The world exists where Jahan is better than Terry. He has to go out and prove it, though. Yes, a world definitely exists there, and especially if you're picked at number 16, you better be able to be better than a 3rd round pick, right? Our entire secondary is getting hyped up. Yep, we'll talk about that too. But yes, they are definitely getting hyped up. He is being overhyped, but I would love for him to be Terry 2.0, right? Dotson becoming a 1A or a definite 2 to take pressure off of Terry at least. Yeah, and if Curtis can get healthy, as I said, I love it. Soft tissue injuries linger if you don't let them rest. You had 8 months or something like that to rest. A soft tissue issue is only supposed to last 2 to 3 months. You had 8 months. If you're still not ready for week one, I am just, you messed up. You did something wrong, and I'm mad at you for it. What's up, Tim? What up, TT Stay Golden? How you doing? Dolphins not the fastest? I don't think so. I thought they were up there for sure, but I actually think they're pretty low because their 3rd receiver is like Cedric Wilson, right? Like, and also Tyreek Hill didn't run a 40 that much faster than Curtis Samuel. I think he only ran like a 4.29, which is obviously blazing, but Curtis Samuel was right there with a 4.31. So when you talk about average of the 3, and I don't think Waddle didn't run a 40, right? He is obviously extremely fast as well, and then Cedric Wilson's not their third, right? They have a four. Or no, they got rid of Devontae Parker to the Patriots. And so, yeah, Cedric Wilson is their three, and I don't think he's that fast. So, yeah, it's fastest trio. Apke at returner is the only way to use his ability as a returner. No, he's a gunner. He's no. He can't catch. Do not put him as a returner. Please don't put him as a returner. Terry running a low 4.3 is crazy because most of his game is based on agility. Yeah, he ran a mid 4.3, but yes, 4.35. Yeah, Cedric's not that fast yet. I wanted a DB in the first round, but I was really high on Dotson going into the draft, so I'm fine with the pick. He'll pair well with Carson Wentz because of his crazy hands. He does have great hands. I'm definitely not hating him on that. It is his hammy that is injured now. Groin was last year. Yeah, I did hear something with the hammy. You're right. Now that you mentioned that, I do remember Ron Rivera mentioning something to do with his hammy, or reading somewhere. I do vaguely remember that. I'm mad at you. Still mad. Only a 4.29. Yeah, only a 4.29 is a relative term just now. I understand. Yes, a 4.29 is obviously blazing, but when you compare it to a 4.31, it's not like it's that much faster. It's only a 4.29 when you compare it to a 4.31. Waddle is stupid fast. Yeah, Waddle is really fast. And I think he was injured and he didn't run the 40 in college, so maybe that has something to do with the averages. I'm not sure. I think that the whole Curtis thing is the same way as we did Terry in 2019 when he was a rookie, where he only played one snap in the preseason and basically hid him from the NFL. Very possible. Because you know who I also think we're doing that with is Chase Young. Okay. I was going to go stick with the offense, but we're just going to talk about this right now. Chase Young right now is walking out of the locker room with no brace, no nothing on his knee. Yet we heard the fake titles. Of course, Sway Run at it again. He seems like a fine dude, but his titles tick me off. Chase Young ruled out for week one. No, he has not been ruled out for week one. Ron Rivera has been very coy. He has not put any, for sure, one way or the other. I'm not putting a timetable on him. Whenever he gets healthy, he'll play. Great, whatever. But he is walking around without a brace, seeming I'm not saying he's 100% healthy by any means, but I don't think he should be that far away to be able to play in over a month. That's just me. Maybe I'm obviously I'm not a doctor. I'm not looking at his x-rays. I'm not with him every day. But we could be playing coy, similar to what you're saying about Curtis Samuel there, AJ, that, hey, what's his name may have a chance to play week one, and we just don't want Jacksonville to know about it. We want everybody to game plan without Chase Young in there right now. And also, Chase Young's another guy. You don't need him playing in training camp to know he's going to make the team. Give some other young guys a chance. But you want him rehabbing. You want him doing everything he's supposed to do as far as health-wise. I am not convinced that he is not going to play week one. I am not convinced by that at all. And according to Ron, Chase will take the longest of the injuries as far as the PUP list is concerned. I think it was Chase Rouillet, Larson, and Logan Thomas. I think it was those four with Chase Young that went on the PUP list. And apparently Chase Young was the one that was farthest away from coming back. Chase Rouillet is already back, which is awesome. Gotta love that, especially considering he has two new guards playing next to him. We want him in training camp. Him getting reps with the two guys next to him. Unfortunately, Trey Turner is out right now, I believe, with a pulled hamstring. But Andrew Norwell, who's apparently been looking good, we want him to get some reps with him to make sure they get the right communications down. That's a guy we want to continue to see practice. Tim, you have some high standards. It's a relative term just now. It's a relative term. But anyway, Chase Young, not reporting anything, but I will predict. I think I say he plays. That's my prediction right now. As we are over a month away, I say he plays. Maybe, maybe not. Sway Run his channel is just funny. Yeah. You're the one dealing with injury, but I'm mad at you for it. Still, stop it. Stop getting injury. Okay. It's becoming a problem. How much are we paying him right now? $13 million. Okay. We don't need another season of you up and down. Okay. Quit pulling your dang muscles. I don't know. Drink more water, eat more bananas or pickle juice or something, whatever that you need to make sure your muscles are strong, but also pliable. So you have flexibility in your tendons and all that good stuff. Do some more stretching, do whatever you got to do to make sure you do not have any more soft tissue issues. All right, Curtis. Jeez, Red Wings. You're getting on me today. I love it. Or not Red Wings was getting on. Sorry. You weren't getting it. Just Snow was the one getting on me about the other thing. Yeah, because Logan comes out with a sleeve and a brace. Yep. Young has to strengthen that leg before practicing. Yeah, I'm not saying he has to practice right away, but I'm thinking he's come back. Sway runs titles are funny, Brooke. Like, come on. Yeah. Sway titles are clickbait or clickbait. Yeah, for sure. He's super clickbaity, but his highlight vids are pretty good. Yeah. What he actually puts out, the content that he puts out, I don't hate the content. I'm still subscribed to him. Like, I saw the video and things like that. I don't hate Sway Run, but it's just if you just read the titles, you know nothing about this team. You know zero about this team. If you just read the titles, you think Bobby McCain is the rangy safety that's the all-star Pro Bowl best safety, not literally, but a great safety. You think Chase Young's out for week 1. I'm sure there's tons of other ones that you can go through. You think a lot about this team. That's not true. He also has an occasional Madden video where he makes his opponent rage quit, which is funny. Oh, really? I didn't know that. That's funny. Just let Chase and Logan get to 100%. Yeah, I mean, that's I don't want them playing if they're not healthy. Okay. I don't want to rush them back. I'm with you on that. I want them to be healthy, but I also want them to play week 1. But priority, be healthy before you come back for sure. I was happy when I saw the picture of Chase with Von Miller training. I hope Von Miller can teach him something. But at the same time, Von Miller's big move was just being faster than everybody and just getting around to the quarterback, right? Not necessarily like Von Miller's obviously a stud, but you can't teach speed. And Chase Young just does not have Von Miller's just unbelievable get off and speed that made him so great. All right. Couple other things to talk about from this training camp. I'm not going to get into all the positions, but there's definitely some more to talk about. The tight end group. The tight end group is very interesting. I touched on it a little bit with the AGG retirement. It's being a really competitive group. Sammis Reyes and Amani Rodgers, and there's one other, Hodges, I think it is. They're doing their thing as third stringers, playing with the third string teams. But every day you are hearing Cole Turner making some incredible play. You know, I did not like the pick of Cole Turner. Okay. I watched Carson Strong film. I studied Carson Strong and I saw quite a few drops from Cole Turner. I saw a guy that's more of just a zone beater rather than a guy that could beat one-on-one. I was not thrilled with this pick. I didn't think he was going to turn into anything great. Some people think he could, like Jarris thinks he could be a top 10 tight end. I disagree. But again, he is a 6'5", 6'6", somewhere in there body. He's been tremendous in the red zone, and he's a big body that you could throw over the middle of the field. And it seems that he's gotten rid of the drop issues, knock on wood, because I saw quite a few drop, more than I was happy about. Let's put it that way. I don't have an exact number, but while watching the 3 games, I saw at least 3 or 4 drops. Okay. I was not happy with those. But if he fixes those issues, he's not the fastest guy in the world, but huge body. And he's made a ton of contested catches in college, and he seems to continue to do that now here in training camp. Again, he's here now. I want to be wrong. I want him to be the next Mark Andrews or the next list tight end out there that was not expected to be that great. George Kittle is somebody else. No, George Kittle, I think, is who Corey from On the Warpath compared John Bates to. But I would love nothing more than Cole Turner come out and be a tremendous receiving tight end. Still apparently needs to work on his blocking, but I would love for him to continue to do that. But he's getting a ton of work since Logan is obviously out and John Bates has missed some practices with, I believe he's having some sort of leg injury of some. I don't think it's serious, but he hasn't been really practicing. So Cole Turner has been getting a ton of reps with Carson Wentz. He's getting a ton of reps also with Sam Howell and uh, Taylor Heineke. But I'm glad that he's starting to gain a rapport with Carson Wentz. I'm getting all these names mixed up, especially all these C names. But I'm glad that he is getting reps with him and he's doing well. Again, I don't take a whole lot of stock in training camp by any means, but hearing good things is better than hearing bad things. So I will be glad to see Cole Turner love it. I doubt he'll ever be a star, but at least he's good at red zone target with some vertical ability. Yeah, 6'5", 6'6", seems to be super solid. Curtis Hodges, thank you. He's looking the best out of the guys behind Cole Turner. Yeah, but I'm hearing some good things about from Street Scores, that is, that Sammis Reyes is not looking too bad right now either. So Sammis Reyes, if Logan Thomas doesn't make the roster, I would love Sammis Reyes to make this team. Great story, tremendous athlete, and super strong. He showed last preseason that he can block like a mother trucker, which is something that I thought he was going to have trouble with coming from basketball. Basketball is obviously not near as physical of a sport. It's more with the agility. So I thought his footwork would be fine and his hands would be great, because in basketball, you have to be able to be ready to catch and shoot. You're never body catching. So I have no problems with him as a receiving tight end. Maybe not. He's obviously not the most savvy route runner. He's got a lot to learn in that sense, but he ran like a 4.6 40-yard dash at like 6'4", 250 pounds. Just looks like he's chiseled out of stone. I would love that guy to make it, but hey, we'll see if Curtis Hodges or Armani Rodgers can make a push. Or I think we only keep 3 tight ends. It's not impossible to keep 4, especially if like Sammis Reyes can become important on special teams, and then you have Logan, you have Cole, and you have John. There's a chance we keep 4, but if I were to guess, I think we keep 3, but we'll see. And Reyes does play special teams. I just don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm not surprised by that by any means. He's obviously a tremendous athlete that go out and make some hits. So seeing him even on kick return or kick off or punt block or punt return, I can see him on all of those. So I would love for him to make the team, because I think so. Isn't that how he got hurt last year? You might be right. I don't have the memory on that one off the top of my head. You may be right on Reyes. If Reyes could just sit in a zone and make a catch, there's a roster spot for him. Well, not necessarily. Like, you got to be able to do more, I think, to make this team at a tight end spot. Yeah, I want to see Reyes play in preseason. He looks better than last season. He's got to, right? I mean, you have a year under your belt now, more experience, understanding the playbook, understanding the nuances of the position. He's got to be playing better. And that is definitely a top guy to watch as far as the preseason is concerned, right? Because Cole Turner's making this team. John Bates is making this team, right? Like, we're not questioning that. But Sammis Reyes is a guy that the preseason is going to be very important for him to see what he does in real game action against an opponent. Yes, that he is at the top of the list, right? It's probably like Sam Howell and then Sammis Reyes as far as a guy that you really want to see and considering making the team. He's up there. All right. That was fun. Staying on the tight end spot, obviously John Bates is not practicing a lot, but I heard something interesting in the Street Scores videos that John Bates is considering whether or not he wants to wear gloves or not wear gloves. And I think he said he's leaning towards gloves because his hands get sweaty or something like that. If you are in the NFL and you are catching the ball as a running back, as a tight end, as a receiver, whatever, if you're running the routes and you're catching the ball, you need to be wearing gloves. Those gloves are like cheat codes. I have great hands, okay? In college, that's basically all I had was great hands. I played basketball, so my hand-eye with being able to catch the ball was what I was best at. And I refused. Since I came from basketball, I was like, I don't need gloves. I don't need gloves. No, who cares about gloves? I can catch the ball. I don't need gloves. And you kind of almost get like an ego about it, right? Like, oh, you got those silly gloves. You don't. I don't need gloves. I could be great without gloves. Those gloves are like a cheat code. The first time I went into a sports authority, I think it was or whatever, and somebody threw me the ball in there. It's like stick them. I have horrible small hands. It's like ding. Wear your gloves. It's basically like the 80s and 70s or whatever when they were putting stick 'em on their hand. It's legal stick 'em. There's zero reason why you should not be wearing gloves. John Bates, if you're considering wearing gloves or not wearing gloves, stop it. Wear gloves, get rid of your ego. I don't care. It helps catching the football. Wear your gloves if you are receiving anything in the league. Wear your gloves. Because when I found that out, the reason I did it is because I went to school in Northern Illinois and my hands were getting really freaking cold, like late October, November. And my hands were starting to get cold. And I was like, and somebody's like, yeah, you should go get gloves. I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'll go buy some gloves. They're cheating. Okay. They are cheating. Stop what you're doing and put some gloves on. What pass catcher doesn't wear gloves? Right? That's what I'm saying. Like, you should be wearing, it's like, that should be a requirement. Your coach should look at you silly. Like, you don't want to wear what? It's like telling a lineman not to wear shoulder pads or not to wear a helmet or something. Like, if you want to, what? Huh? No, no, put your shoulder pads on, you big oaf. I don't care what you're running into another 300-pound human being. You need pads on your dang shoulders, okay? Or you need a helmet on. What do you they have a helmet, you need a helmet. Put your helmet on. Same thing with you should be looking at your receiving tight end and running back. What do you mean you don't want gloves? Put your stupid gloves on. What are you doing here? Put your gloves on. The gloves are actually insane. That's what I'm saying. I have great hands already, but when you put them gloves on, you don't drop anything. That is what I am saying. TT, we're on the same page. I remember some games when Jarvis Landry was in the Dolphins, but he didn't wear gloves. Jarvis obviously has tremendous hands, and I'm pretty sure similar to Odell, they just their hands are huge. Put your stupid gloves on. That's all I can say, dude. They're a cheat code in the league. Cheat code. All right, going on to the defensive side, commando lockdown. Apparently, Chris Harris, the DB coach, was hyping his team up, getting into it. The secondary has been doing a lot of great things, and somebody else mentioned it in the chat earlier, and that's what I'm hearing as well. A ton of interceptions throughout this, and a ton of great plays on the defensive side of the football. And something that Ron Rivera mentioned in his press conference was that the DBs are actually, they've come up with a new way to communicate. So I guess it's Chris Harris that's come up with it. I don't know if it's Jack Del Rio or probably not Jack Del Rio. He's pretty much stuck in his ways, but it must be Chris Harris or Ron Rivera, one of them. I'm guessing Chris Harris, since he's the DB coach, come up with a new way of communicating in the secondary. And that is massive because clearly whatever we were doing last year wasn't working. Think about the Saints game where Landon Collins just let, what was his name? Traquan Smith or whatever, just run down the field for a 70-yard bomb. We should have won that Saints game if it wasn't for the play before the half and that huge 70-yard bomb, right? We had no business losing that game because we outplayed them other than those two plays, basically. So, and I'm sure you can go down the list of just terrible communications and just guys wide open. The Atlanta game where Bobby McCain just came screaming up for no reason. There wasn't even a guy in the flat and it wasn't even quick enough. And then Cordell Patterson just runs right by him for a touchdown. Like, stupid stuff was going on last year. And I am glad it seems like whatever they are implementing now, as far as communicating in the secondary, it is improving their secondary play. Awesome, because we do have talent in that secondary. Cameron Curl, William Jackson, Kendall Fuller, Benjamin St. Juice is getting a lot of hype right now. We have talent back there, but clearly whatever we were doing was not working. So I love it. Traquan Smith wasn't the player. He's too trash. He may have been the player though. It may have been that bad. But they found out that talking with each other helps. Yeah, maybe that's all it is. Maybe last year they just weren't incommunicado, right? They just weren't communicating at all. Now they're fine. They're actually opening their mouth. No, of course they're opening their mouths, but they've changed something and it seems to be working. And that is great, great news. Kendall Fuller is getting a lot of hype in training camp right now. And he was super highly graded. I think he was top 5 in PFF last year, but he left a horrible taste in my mouth last year, especially early in the season. Tons of drops, interceptions. I think about like the Buffalo game where Daron Payne is literally diving at Josh Allen within 2 seconds of calling hike, and Josh Allen just heaves the ball, and you watch the replay, and Kendall Fuller is literally like this, like 7 yards off the line of scrimmage. He just stays in one place and just watches Emmanuel Sanders run right by him and then starts running. He was already beat. First down on like a 3rd and 10, like terrible play. He had several plays like that, especially early last year. Apparently he finished strong later in the year as far as like, I didn't watch him that hard, especially since we were out of it. And when I watched every game, but I'm just like, I'm not studying film on this the whole time because we're sucking it up and losing every game. But I just remember early having really strong opinions that right now I'm not happy with Kendall Fuller. We'll see. But also, you got to think like later in the year, we were playing way worse quarterbacks, right? When we were playing, when we needed him, he wasn't playing that well. Tons of dropped interceptions, tons of missed assignments or letting guys open. Tough. But I'm glad that he is getting, it seems like whatever the communications are helping him or whatever this is, he's an extremely talented dude. We drafted him in the 3rd round for a reason. We paid him over $10 million a year. He's very talented as far as a corner. It just seems to be not getting put in place right. So that's tough. So Trevor Penning got kicked out of practice after starting a fight for the 3rd straight day. I don't think he started that one. Wow. Trevor Penning, he can get nasty in there, that's for sure. Going into any games this year, I won't be going to any regular season games because I do the play-by-play on here, but I won't be doing that. I say move Kendall Fuller to free safety. Well, speaking of safety, apparently we've been going with 3 safety looks. So shout out to his name just Nathan from Ref the District. He was saying that he thought that the 3rd safety was more important than the 3rd linebacker in this defense, and appears to be correct. We've been going with a lot of 3 safety looks to start in the first team defense. And Derek Forrest has been the guy that's been on the field with the first team. And apparently he's not looking that bad. But it's been him, Cam Curl, and Bobby McCain have all been the 3 starters on defense as 3 safety looks. And Derek Forrest is a guy that I was not super excited about. When we first drafted him, I'm like, I'm not going to hate a guy that's 6'2", 210 pounds, running a 4.3 40-yard dash. That's a great start. You know, we'll have to watch film on him to see what we think of him. But at the time, I was like, hey, that's a great start. But when I watched in Cincinnati, I was like, I ain't impressed. Like, I don't see what Ron's seeing right now. And he obviously didn't do a whole lot last year in the defensive spot, so he clearly had some growing to do. Well, it seems like that growing is paying off, and he might be in store for a year 2 bump. I'm not mad about it. You know, hey, if Derek Forrest wants to step up, he's a great athlete and apparently making some great plays in the run game, especially. But if we want to put Bobby McCain in that lineup, it's like you would want Derek Forrest to be your free safety because he's the most rangy as far as an athlete goes. But I don't think he's there as far as mentally being able to read what the offense wants. But I don't know exactly who you would want to be at free safety, but with Cameron Curl out there, and if Derek Forrest is up in the run game, and then you have Bobby McCain, I don't think it's the end of the world as far as I don't think it's the best safety trio in the league by any means, but hey, good for Derek Forrest. And obviously he's also going to make this team due to special teams. He is now the DeShazer Everett of this team, which is why we drafted him in the 5th round in the first place a year ago. But Derek Forrest getting some first reps, first team reps. And another guy that's been getting some praise is one of our 7th round picks in the secondary, Christian Holmes, coming out of Oklahoma State. This is a guy that apparently, for some reason, that nobody graded really. Like, if you go look at, like, I don't think PFF even had a grade on him. And there was, like, I think it was NFL.com didn't have a grade on him. So really, apparently, people did not pay attention to this dude at all. Well, when I went and watched him play, I thought he was a tremendous scheme fit for this team, considering he played a lot of zone corner, and that's something that we like to do. And I thought that he had a chance to really thrive in a Jack Del Rio scheme. And so far, it seems to be working out for Christian Holmes. And I love to hear that. So Christian Holmes, a 7th round pick. You can only expect so much from a 7th round pick. But again, it's better to hear bad things than it is to hear good things. And Christian Holmes getting some praise. But again, he's also probably playing against third stringers, and he's not going against Terry or Curtis or people like that all day. But it's a start. You got to start somewhere. And Christian Holmes started. I still doubt he makes this team. He probably goes into special teams if I were to, not special teams, sorry, into practice squad if I were to guess. But hearing praise does not rule out the possibility that maybe he could have a chance to make. I think we're going to keep 6 corners, so I think he would be corner number 6. Another thing coming out of the defense is we haven't heard a whole lot of the linebacking group. Apparently, once the pads came on a couple of days ago, that Jamin Davis has looked decent. But leading up to the padded practices, you didn't hear pretty much anything coming out of the linebacker room. But we did hear, apparently in a drill, I believe it was day 6, that Drew White tore his ACL. He was actually a guy that a lot of people were telling me that they were excited about in the comments, saying, hey, Drew White's a guy that we should look out for out of Notre Dame, an undrafted free agent that maybe has a chance to make this team. Well, he tore his ACL. He will not be playing, obviously, in the burgundy and gold this season, but hey, hopefully he can recover and come back next year and training camp and OTAs and see if he can't try to work his way on the team next year. But it sucks for an undrafted free agent who's already obviously not getting a lot of looks, and especially on a team right now where we don't have linebacker play. Next year, he could be an undrafted free agent, but if we drafted Sewell in the first round, let's say, and then, whatever, we pay Cole Holcomb, and now it's like, okay, where are you really fitting in onto this team? This was a prime spot for a guy like that to maybe try to even find his way on the field in certain scenarios if we want to go into 3 linebackers. Not saying that was a high probability, but a small chance that maybe if he was really that good, he would have a chance. But now that chance has ended. But we're going with the 2 linebacker look, similar to what I was talking about or not similar, but as I mentioned talking about Derek Forrest as the 3 safety look. But it is interesting that we're going with 3 safeties instead of 5 down linemen, but we're still sticking with the 2 linebackers. And Cole Holcomb seems to be liking his new role at the middle linebacker position. And we'll see more as the padded practices progress to see if they are really showing up and showing out. But that is what I had for the day. We're going to bring up Weddle to end the show as always. Oh, not Weddle.com, Weddle Games. Bring this up, and I'll read your comments for a little bit, and we'll go from there. All right, let's bring this up. All right, we got Weddle. While I read the comments, somebody put in an offensive player that we should start with. All right. I like Derek Forrest when we drafted him, but I knew he would take time to marinate. Fair enough. As I love the athlete that he was, 4.3 40, I think 4.34 or something crazy, 4.36 somewhere in there. So I loved the athlete that he was. So, hey, 5th rounder on that kind of an athlete that you may be able to groom and he could play special teams in the meantime. I didn't hate the pick by any means. I just didn't necessarily like what I saw and him actually playing safety. He needed a lot to learn for sure. Only later in the season. Oh, what did he say? Didn't we do that last year with Landon Collins in the box as the Buffalo nickel? Yeah, technically that was a 3 safety look, even though really Landon was more of a linebacker. If we're all being honest, he was really a linebacker. I just hope the coaching staff doesn't ask too much of these young guys by making them play 3 different positions. Like talking about the 3 safety looks, like making them play all 3 safety spots. I think I made clarification on that one. They can sign me. I can do the same at safety or better. Lol. Talking about Landon, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, nobody graded him. I can't remember, but I think he plays zone well and man poorly. Yeah, that's what I saw in that was my breakdown of him essentially is what I saw as well. Not that I'm not saying that you're telling me what I said. I'm just agreeing with you that I saw a guy that played zone extremely well, but got a little lost in man. Like I think it was against Oklahoma where it was in the red zone and the quarterback threw it up and he was man to man on a corner route and he ended up getting a PI. He had no clue where the ball was, didn't even turn his head at all, had no chance on it. So that is something I noticed. All right, here we go. So the first one I see was Aaron Rodgers. I think Dad said that one time. So we're going to go with Jonnu Smith. That's who we're going to start with. All right, Jonnu Smith. All we got is the age, not in the AFC at all, not the tight end. All right, let's since we didn't get much, all we got is a higher age and a lower number. Well, you know what? We'll go with Aaron Rodgers just to get something. Okay, so we're in the NFC North now. It's below 6'2". We still don't have the position, so it could be a wide receiver or a running back. So we'll go with. Let's go ahead and go with Justin Jefferson. He's in the NFC North with Minnesota. Nope, that's not it. And it's still shorter than 6'1" and not a receiver. So we're looking in the running back deal. All right, how about Swift? DeAndre Swift. Okay, we're on the right team with Detroit. Oh, I should have known that with the age older than 26. It's not Swift. He's young. So is this Williams? His name Jamal Williams? Yes, it is. Jamal Williams for Detroit was the normal mode Weddle. And now we'll go with, I don't know who Kyle Duggar is. I don't, why should I know that name? Oh my goodness. What a guess, son. Kyle Duggar. We got the right team, not the correct position. It looks like it's offensive player, but we got 6'2" and age 26. Man, number higher than 23, though. It's got to be an offensive player. I'm gonna. Who are their receivers? Talk about it like a team that I don't know much of their receivers at all. Can we do like offensive linemen too? I'm just curious. Yeah, so you could even go offensive lineman right now. Okay, but 6'2". Good grief, AFC. Just trying to think of who's 6'2" and 26 on their team. I'm just trying to think of the receivers and whatnot. Crap. All I can think of right now is Nelson Aguilar for some reason. Is it? No, Parker's way older than that. Aguilar's older than that. N'Keal Harry might be that age, but is he still on the team? Is it Harry? No. Oh, Harry went to Chicago? I didn't even realize he went to Chicago. Okay. And he was 6'4". That's something. Oh, and he's only 24. Is N'Keal Harry that young? How old was N'Keal Harry when he was drafted? Oh, I just looked over. I shouldn't have looked at it. It's Myers. Is it Myers? No, it's not Myers. Oh, yeah, because he's number 16. So, and it's not a wide receiver. I shouldn't have even guessed a receiver. So it's not a wide receiver. Crap. Is it one of their offensive linemen? Oh, there's no chance I know their offensive linemen. No chance. Oh, gosh. It's not Bourne because it's not a receiver anymore. Who are their linemen? It's got to be like a guard. It's got to be. Onwenu? Nope. Not a guard. Okay. Who's their center? It's not a running back. The number's too high. Could be. Is it Jonnu Smith? Oh, Jonnu Smith is 6'26", but he's only 6'3". It's not a tight end. Who's their center? Is it their backup QB? It could be their backup QB. I'm just gonna put Mac Jones just to see if it's QB. Okay, it's not a QB. It's not a wide receiver. Their running backs aren't that big, right? Like Ramondre Stevenson's not that big, right? He's also got to be younger. He's only 24. It's not a running back. It's got to be their center. Who's their center? Andrew? David Andrew? Is that it? David Andrews? Nope, it's not him. Oh my goodness. We're at 8 out of 10. It's not a center. Can't be their tackle at that position, right? We've done all the. It's got to be tackle. We've done all the positions. Unless they have a fullback. So it's their tackle's only 6'2". So close to making my Redskins helmet. Just need the correct color spray paint. Ooh, good luck with that. It's got to be one of their tackles. It's got to be one of their tackles. It's Isaiah Wynn. Is it Wynn? It is. It's Isaiah Wynn. Wow, he's only 6'2". Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, I should have known. At 81, I should have known it was not a quarterback or a running back. But I should have known it was a tackle. But there you go. Isaiah Wynn. We got it at 9 out of 10s. That's a real short tackle. You got to do one more? I got to do one more? What do you mean? I did both. I did the normal and the hard mode. I got the normal mode decent. I mean, Jamal Williams, that's a solid guess. You know, that's a solid get in 4. But offensive lineman, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to struggle with for the most. If they pick a lineman, that's where I'm going to struggle because, oh my goodness, I don't remember their lineman. But I'll get better as the year goes on as well. Weather streak never ends. That's right. You got to do one more. That's real short tackle. Yep. I was going to say Drew Desjardins. Sure. Sure, bud. Sure. All right. Well, that is a show. So tune in tomorrow. The Uncut will start at 7 p.m. and then we will go into the play-by-play. So make sure you hit the sub button and the notification bell. Come back tomorrow, hang out with us, see how it's going. And thank you, everybody that was in the chat today for hanging out. I hope I provided a good, entertaining, and informative show. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? But thank you guys all for being in here. Appreciate you guys, especially the ones in here all the time. Bod is always in here. Jess Snow is in here. Red Wings in here a lot. Redskins Man 10 always. AJ stopping by. Assad more. All of you guys. Really appreciate you guys. And we'll see you tomorrow. And until next time, see ya! I didn't do it big. See ya.